That seems to be very dangerously placed there. I was looking at No Time to Die the other day, and Craig's performance is so good in it. Kind of annoyed that they didn't put out a for your consideration big push for Craig to be nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. I know you're thinking, what? And it feels right, and that performance in No Time to Die is brilliant. I keep coming back to this scene.
But I'm not going to leave here without you knowing that I have loved you, and I will love you, and I do not regret a single moment of my life that led me to you.
He's just classy. Before No Time to Die came out, and as far back as Quantum of Solace, there's been talk of Craig's successor, and this has been a frustrating thing for Bond fans. I think we were all very happy with Craig in the role, and there was this weird media speculation and push to constantly try and replace him. This was happening before he finished, and obviously now it just feels like this sort of conversation is slowly beginning to ramp up again. There are loads of names out there. Michael Fassbender would have been good. If you're interested, watch X-Men First Class, and of course Inglourious Bastards.
There's a special rung in hell reserved for people who waste good scotch. Seeing as I may be rapping on the door momentarily.
Idris Elba just being a kind of public favourite, or maybe a media favourite for a very long time. Unfortunately, both himself and Fassbender seem to have aged out in the last few years. I actually thought it would have been really funny and meta if in No Time to Die they'd cast Idris Elba as the replacement 007. It would have changed the role a lot, but it could have been interesting too. I've been of the opinion for a long time now they should cast a relatively unknown actor. And I know trying to find a man with so much experience who is also unknown is sort of like catching lightning in a bottle. However, I think there is a value in having someone pulled out of relative obscurity and letting the audience come in with a fresh perspective. This has been the formula for a lot of the castings, especially Connery. But to move into what are more the popular bookies' favourites, and I always think the bookies' favourites are kind of skewed in how accurate they are, because a bookie's favourite would never be an unknown person until it got right up to the end and then that person was in the final lot. Let's go to one famous name that keeps coming up over and over again. This person resembles another actor in Bond in terms of their history with the role, and he really looks the part too. That man is Henry Cavill. I think it's important to discuss Henry Cavill. He has a sort of similar history with the role like Brosnan did. So what I'm going to do here is talk about the pros and cons of Henry Cavill if he was cast as James Bond. When I look at the list of favourites, he is by far the most reasonable choice in terms of longevity, look, willingness to do the role. The unfortunate truth is someone like Tom Hardy wouldn't do James Bond. He makes a huge amount of money doing roles that are not blockbuster films, and then he can go off and do a Venom film and that'll keep him going for a long while. And does he want to be locked into 5-picture deals with Bond? So to entertain the speculation of the Bond favourite actors, let's talk about the pros and cons of Henry Cavill if he was cast as James Bond. Let's start off with the positives. Henry Cavill has the look. I would definitely describe a Henry Cavill James Bond as James Bond Prime. He's sort of like a more handsome version of what Fleming would have wanted. It's kind of funny because if you were to describe James Bond, people would probably fall on Henry Cavill. Or if you were going to do a criminal lineup, Usual Suspect style, and they're like, pick out the James Bond. Now his Bond would be very different from Craig's, probably less rugged. He'd be more of like a womanizer and very much on the charm offensive.
I like to call myself a specialist in complicated acquisitions.
I hope you're wearing masks.
Sometimes. Just never when I'm stealing things.
During Cavill's career, he's constantly been attached to James Bond visually. He did this aftershave ad. in which he's playing very much a Bond type character. And obviously, back in 2005, he screen tested for James Bond. We all know they picked Daniel Craig, but even they thought back then he had the Bond look. Which brings me to my next point, charm and sophistication. Henry Cavill can do charming. If you look at the man from U.N.C.L.E., he's incredibly suave. You could believe this type of James Bond being a real ladies' man. You can also believe he'd fit into the sophisticated settings, walking into a casino, an expensive gala. I kind of think he would be like a more muscular Roger Moore, believe it or not. He's got this seamlessness to him, the way he walks through a scene, interacts with people, and he gives off that sophisticated vibe. I know the man from U.N.C.L.'s set in the 60s, but he could carry that style. It's very timeless and bring it into a 21st century Bond. My third positive point is training. Henry Cavill takes training seriously. You look at his Instagram page, his preparation for The Witcher, and obviously Superman. He wants to be completely prepared for the roles that he does. This brings me to a negative point, but you know he would physically give everything to fill the role of James Bond and do the stunts. And you can't say that about all actors. We were very blessed with Craig and his want to do that. But that's not always the case. Let's address the elephant in the room, Mission Impossible, which you should all see. Cavill in Mission Impossible Fallout really steps up on the physicality, and look at him in these fight scenes. Here's something that people don't talk about. He can wear a suit. Cavill has the right stance, posture. He knows how to wear a suit, and that's not something everyone can do. For example, Terence Young had to very much force and mould Connery to be comfortable in a suit. Henry Cavill, he has it, and he has the swagger too. And for my final point, it falls back under luck, kind of. But when Cavill first screen tested in 2005, he was very much too young to play Bond. Michael Wilson always says Bond needs to be a veteran. And right now, Henry Cavill is the correct age for Bond. Some of the other favourites I've mentioned and others are all too old, especially when you consider they would be around for 5 films. At 38 years old, Cavill is both young enough to have the longevity in a series like Bond, but also has a look of experience now that he definitely didn't have back in 2005. What do I have against Henry Cavill and James Bond? I've gushed about the positive points and what he could do as an actor with the role. Size and training. I said this could have been a problem, and I do think he could alter this and fix it, no problem. But Cavill is fucking huge at the moment. He trains hard, and we all know that. Like, he completely transformed himself for Superman. I think he needs to lose size for the role of Bond. He kind of needs to sit somewhere between Man of Steel and Immortals. Although Craig was huge, especially in Casino Royale, a mix of Lindsay Hemming's tailoring of the costumes and being just the right size meant that Craig could still walk with sophistication and fit in. And I think Cavill right now is just too big to be Bond, but he could definitely address and fix that issue. And obviously Cavill is in incredible condition. It's just this thing about actors transforming their bodies, and we know he can do it, so why wouldn't he for Bond? The second one is baggage. Like, Henry Cavill is Superman, and it might be up in the air, excuse the pun, whether or not he's coming back. I think for a whole generation now, Henry Cavill is Superman. Does he bring baggage to any role now that he plays? This might be my own biases kicking in. I sort of think that could be an issue. But then again, I also look at him in The Witcher or something, and it's not an issue. We have to just see what people think in terms of casting him in Eon. Is that a problem for them? Does he command too high a price now? And my final point is the big one. I will note that I haven't seen everything Cavill's done, but I actually really like Henry Cavill, so I try to watch him in most things. I wonder, does he have the range? Like, if someone has an example of Cavill pushing himself, I would absolutely love to see it. And I'll take this back. But I wonder, can he push himself like Craig does? I feel like he does have it in him. And I know Bond is not Shakespeare, but I think something Bond fans have enjoyed in the last 15 years is Daniel Craig's ability to be emotional and have us believe in those emotions. And Daniel Craig's a top class actor. I'd love to see Henry Cavill do stuff like that. It's kind of an invitation to prove me wrong. Those are my negatives on Cavill being Bond. All of them are extremely fixable. And to come to an end on it, I think one of the most important aspects of those negatives is that Henry Cavill wants this. Henry Cavill has been trying to be James Bond since Casino Royale. That's nearly his whole professional career. I feel like if there was ever an actor who'd be willing to push, challenge, and change himself for the role, he's actually that guy. He physically steps up to every role, even risks injury. He's someone that would give everything. So, Henry Cavill, are you my number one choice? No, but I wouldn't be angry if you were cast either. I think that person isn't known to us yet. I do believe Cavill could make a great James Bond. It's like the Brosnan thing. Brosnan was cast in 1987's The Living Daylights, but then a clause in his Remington Steele contract pulled him back into that TV show and out of James Bond. So Dalton stepped into the role. It wasn't until 1995 that Brosnan finally got his chance again to be James Bond. It seemed like everyone knew Brosnan was destined to play James Bond. And there's a weird feeling in the air right now that Henry Cavill is also destined to be Bond. Can't put my finger on why, but it's definitely out there. What I will say is this: I'm confident in Ian, Michael and Barbara to pick the right guy. Let's just hope that actor has a good relationship with Christopher Nolan. That was a joke, by the way. We don't know who the director will be yet. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Shoot the like button too. Please comment who would be your favourite to play James Bond. And if you have a director too, comment that below. 2022 is going to be a good year at the 60th anniversary.